Last week, we released a video on Vision Zero and about making our roads safer for everyone. If you haven't seen that video yet, I strongly suggest it. But just to recap, the idea is that by changing the way our transportation networks are designed, we can work towards reducing the number of road-related fatalities to zero. However, there is one big change that could help save lives. It has a lower price tag than other infrastructure projects and could also be implemented relatively quickly. The problem is, it tends to get a lot of pushback, even though all it requires is that we just slow it down. First of all, I just want to state that driving can be a lot of fun. Just like cycling or taking the bus, it's a valid way of getting around. However, there is no denying that private automobile use also comes with a lot of issues. Environmental damage, negative health effects, and risk of serious injury to other road users. But for some people, driving is their only option. Even if every street had wide sidewalks, dedicated bike lanes, and was near a top-of-the-line transit system, we would not be able to completely remove private automobiles from our urban communities. There will still be people who are limited in their physical ability to use active transportation. Businesses will still require deliveries. And most importantly, we still need ways for our emergency services to get around. That's why it is so important that our governments take every measure possible to make our roads safer for all users. But if something as easy as driving slower could save lives, why are our speed limits in urban areas set at 50 kilometers an hour? One reason is political will. People just don't like the idea of driving slower. Places to be, people to see, time is money, etc., and so on and so forth. But even if getting from point A to point B quicker was worth putting people at greater risk, which it is not, how much time does it actually save us? We took advantage of the nearly empty roads caused by COVID-19 to test this out for ourselves. We picked out 3 urban routes and tested each 4 times at 50 kilometers an hour and 4 times at 35 kilometers an hour. We tracked the total travel time and our average speed throughout the experiment. So let's take a look at the results. The overall time difference was only around 5 minutes, while the average traveling speed had a difference of only 6 kilometers an hour. This is because in urban areas, our commuter time is primarily dictated by traffic lights, stop signs, road crossings, and other road users. If we were to test this again when traffic levels return to normal, these travel times would become even closer together, and during rush hour, the travel times would be almost identical. Slower speed limits only have a small effect on the average commute, but they do help to prevent serious injuries and death. Public opinions around speed limits are only part of the problem. After all, our roads are designed by engineers, not by Twitter comments. The other issue is actually how those roads are designed. Our urban speed limits are set at 50 kilometers an hour because that's the ideal speed limit they've been designed for. Speed limits only work if people follow the law, and how those roads have currently been designed might actually be encouraging motorists to speed. We often design our roads to be over-engineered, meaning they can in theory handle speeds above the intended speed limit. It's a real catch-22. On one hand, you want to make sure the roads are safe, even if people are being reckless. But by doing so, you build a road that makes the recklessness feel safe. That's why in the past, government reports often suggested speed limits remaining at 50 kilometers an hour. They state that without first making infrastructure changes, people won't change their driving habits unless the lower speed limit is heavily enforced. Because governments are reluctant to lower our speed limits, we keep designing new roads for 50 kilometers an hour, which results in roads that they won't assign lower speed limits to, which results in, I think you get the idea. We've driven ourselves into a roundabout with no one willing to pick an exit. Thankfully, we are seeing many municipal governments take the first step. Traffic calming measures like bumpouts and separated bike lanes can help to remind drivers to slow down and protect their fellow road users. It's important for municipalities to openly work towards addressing road safety and address the problem through policy and regulations. For example, the Strategic Road Safety Plan that the HRM Council passed in 2018. The responsibility of making our roads safer lies with all of us. It requires our provincial government to step up and post lower speed limits. It requires both our municipal and provincial governments to build infrastructure that encourages and enforces drivers to slow down. And we as road users need to make sure that we take responsibility for the safety of ourselves and others while using our transportation network. So the next time you find yourself picking up speed, think, is getting there a minute or two faster really worth putting somebody else's life at risk? And then just slow it down.